Hello everybody and welcome back to another Paz video. Now I know today is a Thursday, so I typically don't put out these tier lists, but there are a few things I want to iron out here first. First off, I'm going to college, so I don't have as much time to really edit. I have to make sure that this whole week is with packing and all that other stuff. And the other thing is, I have a theme for today's video. We've been doing a lot of themes these Thursdays videos about how to climb, what characters you should be climbing on, and how to really go with those characters and those really influential characters. How do you climb with them? So I mean, today we're gonna do a tier list that answers just that. What characters are good to climb on in this current dumpster fire of a season in Overwatch? And in Overwatch 2, what do I kind of think of the tier list when it's all said and done? Will it change a little bit? Are there going to be better characters to climb on? To be honest, I feel like a lot of it's going to kind of stay the same, but I do just want to get right into it. Before we do though, this is going to be for pretty much all ranks below Grandmaster. When you start hitting Grandmaster, that's when meta comes into play. Outside of really GM and, in my opinion, like 4.3, 4.4 plus, you don't really need to play meta. You can really just play good characters, and Hog is just one of the big reasons for that. He's not really that great of a character, all things considered, but in ladder it really works out because not a whole lot of people are working together, and he can just find those picks when he wants to. So with that in mind, understand that this is going to be pretty definitive for Overwatch 1. They're not really going to change the game a whole lot, and maybe even in Overwatch 2, this will still help you even if it's a year down the road, because, you know, I'm never going to take this video down. Maybe it'll still help, but just take that with a grain of salt. I don't know what's going to happen in a year. Let's get right into it. So Ana, in my opinion, is probably one of the best characters to play if you're trying to climb outside of GM. Reason being, she is literally meant, she was created to be a pub stomping support. I mean, anti-nades. If you can hit those big anti-nades, you're going to be winning games consistently. Now, obviously, hitting anti-nades against specific compositions is very difficult to pull off, but when you're playing in Platinum, Diamond, and Masters, and below that as well, divas aren't really going to be played perfectly. They're not always going to be eating your nades. Shields are not going to be placed perfectly. The fact that people are making mistakes, I think Ana is very, very good at making up on the, getting those mistakes dealt with. That was a really awkward transition there, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Let's move on to the next character, and if you actually, before we do that, I do have the Ana guide from 2 weeks ago, I think it is now, of how to climb with Ana and ladder. If you're struggling with that, make sure you check that out. It's a very good video. I promise you, check that out. You will win at some games. You will get some SR. So Ashe, I think, is probably an A tier. The reason why I don't think she's S tier is because I think she's S tier with a Mercy. Ashe is a very, very versatile character, and she's very, very strong in a lot of different metas. The Dynamite is just so good if you can hit big Dynamites consistently, and quite frankly, I don't think it's terribly difficult to aim on her. Even though she is a hit scan, I feel like aiming with her isn't awful. I mean, if I can hit Masters and, midway through Masters with Ashe with a Mercy Pocket, I think most people can, because my aim, to be quite fair, is not as good as other players that are at my rank, and my DPS isn't all that great. I think Ashe is just an easier character to learn, especially for the support audience this channel has, because her aiming style, the way she kind of plays, is a lot like Ana. It doesn't feel too different. So I think Ashe is just a really solid pickup to have that you definitely should look into if you're trying to climb. Now, Baptiste, as we transition here, while he might be a very strong character, I cannot put him above Ana in terms of climbing. I think Baptiste is a high B tier, low A tier character in terms of climbing, because the thing is with ladder is that people don't stay stacked very often. They kind of play their own thing. It's not consistent to always have a brawl comp, to always have a double shield spam comp, especially at lower ranks. Baptiste is still strong, don't get me wrong. It's just when everyone's kind of in their own area, you struggle to get the maximum value you need with Baptiste, while Ana would just be better. That being said though, if it is a brawl or it is double shield, pick Bap. He's the better pick. You have a lot of damage, you have a lot of healing, your ultimate's very good, even if you don't use it with your team. Immortality field's very, very busted. You can switch games, you just completely switch the flow of games with that. I just think he's overrated in terms of climbing. I think there are better characters to play, and unless you have the stars aligning, Ana might be a better option. That's not to say Bab's bad, but it's good to understand what is important when you're actually playing him. So Bastion, I have a hard time with this guy. Personally, I think Bastion's really good to climb with. Not really good. I think he's decent to climb with, unironically, because if you understand how to play Bastion, you can make the game play to you, and most likely at lower ranks, they aren't going to know to just switch to a diva and fly at you. They're going to be like, oh, dude, what do we do? Bastion, dude, my team sucks, it tilts them. That being said, though, realistically, I don't think he's very good, because to have the level of knowledge you need to make Bastion work, you would probably already be like a high masters low GM player, because then you'll understand how Bastion should be countered and how to play against it. Maybe I'll make a Bastion video. Maybe I'll hit up Bastion and be like, how to climb as Bastion. If you guys are interested in that, I definitely would be. I would be down to talk about that. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that would be down to talk about that, but I think Bastion's a good character to climb on if you understand what you're doing. But for the audience of this video, I feel like it might be a little bit too difficult to pull off, that it might just be hindering your team and your experience, so I wouldn't go for it. Brigitte, I'm going to put C tier. Okay, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Brigitte is good when you understand what she is good at and you play her correctly. When they have a ball, a Winston, a Tracer, a Genji, or anything that's going to really pressure your backline, a flank DPS as a lot of people think of it, that is when Brig is very good. Brig is very bad against Reinhardts, Zaryas, Roadhogs, Pharah, Junkrat, and you see those characters a lot in ladder, especially at the lower ranks. My thing with a lot of support players is I feel as though they think that if they play Brig, they win games. No, that's just not how the character works. She's very good at high elo because that's what's meta, and she's very good with the meta. But if you see a Junkrat and a Pharah, if you understand that that's when you have to switch as Brig, easily an S tier if you understand how it is that you should switch. But if we're one-tricking a character, Brig is not the character you just want to one-trick. I think she might be B tier. C tier might be a little bit much. I might be making a statement. High C tier, low B tier is probably where I'm going to put her. If you have questions, please let me know in the comments. I always look at those. But let's move on to Doomfist, which I think is one of the worst characters to climb on, unironically. But I still think he's going to be better than Bastion just because he's legitimate and people won't completely throw your game if you pick him. The thing is, he's just not very good right now with what is good. I think if you're a good Doomfist, it could work. But Doom is just like, he just gets outclassed by so many DPS, and it's a lot of work to be good at Doomfist for like minimal payoff. Honestly, if you guys are trying to learn Doomfist now in Overwatch 1, I would discourage it to be like a Doomfist one-trick and learn his DPS playstyle. His tank playstyle is kind of similar, but I'm not really a Doomfist player. It's different enough that it's definitely a different flow. So don't take my word for it. I don't really know that much about Doomfist, but I just don't think he's a good character to climb on. Unless you're a god at him, and if you're a god at him, this tier list was not for you. So, D.Va, easily an S tier pick. If you are good at D.Va, you will be doing something good in every single game. D.Va's good with Rush. D.Va's good with Dive. D.Va's good with Orisa as well in those spam compositions when you're trying to counter a dive composition. She could do everything. She could DM her team. Honestly, she's the best character in the game to climb on. She could DM her team. She could do damage. She can really create space with her ultimate. There's nothing that she cannot do. The problem is just that she's very difficult. But if you learn D.Va and you learn how she works, and you learn how you can control the game as D.Va, you will hit GM. Like, D.Va is by far one of the best characters in the game. She's just very difficult to play. Does that bring her down on the tier list? Maybe it does. I haven't really defined whether or not difficulty goes into play here, but I feel like realistically, learning Doomfist, and even though he's very difficult, even if you do learn him to his max potential, it still just isn't great right now. D.Va right now, and everything below GM, even in GM, she's just good right now. So D.Va is a great character to play. Go for D.Va. Echo's kind of with Ashe here. I think she's very strong. You can pretty much do it all. I mean, you can copy any character, especially if you're not super comfortable on DPS and you're off-rolling. Echo does a lot of damage. She's just all around a very good character. I don't know if I'd put her S tier. Maybe I do put her S tier later in the list, but she's very good at pub stomping when her team is setting her up. I think A tier needs a little bit of setup, while S tier is just play with whatever and he'll make it work. Genji, I think Genji's kind of Doomfist here. And I'm gonna move Brig up, just because I think it helps with my visualization of what I actually believe. I think Genji is good to pub stomp lobbies with, but it kind of falls off hard when Masters comes around, because you have to be significantly better than the lobby that you're playing with as Genji. I don't know. And DPS is just generally harder to climb on, but I don't know. I think Genji, like, Nanoblade's good, but it's very pub stompy, and I don't think it's as pub stompy as Ana to warrant him being better than some of his DPS counterparts. Hanzo's got to be up there as well. Again, consistent damage. It's kind of going to work with everything. He works with Brawl if he just wants to shield break and you're trying to play a slower Brawl. He works with spam, and he has some tools against dive. I think he's a solid character. Maybe he's not as high as his DPS counterparts here. Maybe he's a low A, high B. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's just a solid character to be playing right now. Junkrat, chef's kiss, not chef's kiss, like chef's kiss for D tier. Just not good right now unless you're Jay Silly God, like my boy Silly Phil 49, aka Gabowski, or Aquamarine. I just don't think he's ever really going to be good. Honestly, I think Bastion's better. Junkrat needs some love. I'm going to be honest. He needs some love. Maybe he doesn't, and just people aren't good at him, but he's just a weird character that he's either busted or not good. It's no in between. In this current meta, Lucio is bad. Lucio is maybe high D tier, maybe low C tier. If you're good at Lucio, obviously you can command the game with him. But usually Bap, Brig, Zen, and Ana are just better in this meta. To be completely honest, usually any other support's better than him right now to be climbing with, so that's my TED Talk. Cassidy will always be good to climb with. I think he will always be consistent. Right now, I think other DPS just work better with what is meta. While you get higher in the ranks, and you might see that more. But I don't think he gets enough value to be like, yeah, he's a really good character to climb on. I think he's a very good team playable character. He works into everything. I don't think he's ever busted, or he's as good as playing like an Ashe with a Mercy Pocket. I think that's always better to climb with right now. I think he's just solid. He's just a solid pick. He's not going to be quite crazy, but he's not bad. May's up there as well. I don't think she's quite B tier. I think she's a solid pick because she's annoying. People aren't very good at playing around her in lower elos. You can get away with it. She also has self-regen, so you don't have to really focus on the healers. You can kind of just do your own thing, which is it's admirable when you're playing DPS. I mean, DPS is probably the hardest role to climb on Overwatch 1, to be completely honest with you, and I maybe it's like one of those cheesy characters that might just work. Mercy's gonna have to go C tier. I think it's really just bottom C tier. I think like if you have a good DPS duo, Mercy's a good pick to climb with. If not, I don't think she's good. I don't like having to worry about how many teams are gonna be. I think she's pretty simplistic in ladder. I think in team play it can get a little bit more difficult. And that's not to say Mercy's an easy character. There's definitely some like niche mechanics you could learn with her. It's just that when you learn those niche mechanics, it doesn't push you as far ahead as it would on like a Zen or a Baptiste. And Moira is honestly going to go down with Lucio. I think she's slightly better than Lucio, because if you're just struggling to survive, go ahead and play Moira. Like, Moira will always be consistent. I just think Ana is so much better. She's a pub stomp character. That's the character you want to climb on. You don't want to go the easy way out and go Moira, because it's not going to lead to as easy of gains with the time that you're going to be putting into it. No matter what, you're going to be putting a lot of time into ladder. This is not like a play these characters and get rich quick scheme. These are the characters that you should learn, and they're going to give you the most payoff in the same amount of time compared to what other characters would be. I think Orisa is also kind of solid, but she's not great. I think she's kind of in the May tier. I think Ball, Rein, people just play with better. Like Ball, Monkey, Rein, Roadhog are just better picks. To the point where I might put a D tier compared to where other tanks are, but I'm not entirely sure. Pharmacy is always going to be an A tier for me in anything that's below GM. I think Pharmacy it challenges teams to be focusing on Pharah. If you play Pharah correctly, there's even more that's demanded out of the team. You could just play Pharah around corners if they have double hit scan, and now the hit scan are doing nothing, and you're commanding literally 1/3 of the entire enemy team. Pharah is always going to be good at lower ranks, to the point where honestly I might put her S tier. She might be the I still think learning other characters is better the higher you climb, but I think she's very good. I think she's very solid when she's paired with Mercy. So again, if Mercy is paired with any of these two characters, I'm gonna be honest, they're S tier. Like, they're really good duos to be using if you have a Mercy player as a DPS. It makes the game very playable in Diamond, in Masters. Just understand that there are better characters as we move on through here. Reaper is gonna be one again. The thing with Reaper right now is that Lucio is really bad. No one's really playing Lucio, and you need help to close distance. I don't think Reaper is good. Reinhardt's going to be always middle of the pack in NA ladder just because people love to play Brawl. For that reason, I don't think he's strong like SRA tier, where you should be one-tricking Rein. But like, if you want to play Rein and you want to force Brawl, it'll get you pretty far because at least people know how to play with Rein. Hog is going to have to be top A tier. I'm not going to put him S tier. I don't feel comfortable putting some of these tanks in S tier. Actually, okay, no. Here's the thing. and I want to put this with a grain of salt. If you're bad at Hog, don't play Hog. If you're very, 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 very good at Hog, play Hog. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't think Hog is realistically good. I think he's good at pub stomping. And to be honest, I'm going to have to put him in S tier for that. He's very good at pub stomping. If you believe that you have learned this character enough that you can just hard roll the lobby, do it. I always think D.Va's a better option because you can still pub stomp with actual good macro push with your team. I'm just going to say that Hog is much more forward about doing that, and he's much more present in the kill feed, while D.Va allows for other people to be more present in the kill feed and sets her team up better. So that's all I'm going to say about Hog. Sigma, again, he's going to be A tier just because I think he's very, very, very solid, because D.Va is good, but if you have a Roadhog, Hog D.Va is pretty bad. If you have a Roadhog, I think Sigma's the better choice, but I don't know. I think any three of these characters are like the characters to climb on, as well as Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball is probably the worst one to be playing. One-tricking, not to say that it's bad. I just think that people in ladder don't really understand what Wrecking Ball's job is, and he's very hard to pick up. I think that if this was like the Asian ladder, I think it would be better, because typically those players are better at playing the Zarya, Monkey, and Ball, while NA is better at the Reinhardt, Sigma, Roadhog bullshit that's just mechanics-based. Soldier. I'm going to put him at bottom A tier. I think Soldier is good because you can heal yourself, you can flank, you can kill things. He's not hard to pick up. He's just solid. I think you could realistically climb to GM. I think anyone, realistically, with enough practice, could probably hit GM by one-tricking Soldier. It would be hard once you get to the top, but I think it's doable. Symmetra and Sombra, I'm kind of going to put them together. If you're good at these characters, play them. If not, honestly, I would avoid them as much as possible, just because they require your team to be very, very coordinated, and they're just not good given specific maps. I don't think they're complete throw picks like the bottom tier. But that being said, yada, 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 some, let's move on. Torbjorn, top of B tier. Torbjorn is a sleeper pick. I think one-tricking Torbjorn in this season would honestly get you GM. He might even be an S tier. I think Torb is very good against what's meta, and he also doesn't struggle to find value in those weird, like, TDM comps. I mean, it's definitely not ideal, but people aren't really used to playing against Torb. I don't know. I think people have been sleeping on Torb for a long time. I think he's always just a solid pick no matter the team comp. So I think Torb is kind of like Cassidy, where it's like, Cassidy's probably better to pick over Torb, to be honest, but Torb is still... If you're good at Torb, play Torb. Like, people really aren't going to give you that hard of a time, because then if you don't have a Brig on your team and they have a really good Tracer, which is going to be S tier, like, you can counter that Tracer by just having a turret up. It's a very good Joker pick. I don't know if it's as consistent as S or A tier DPS, but still a good pick over the C tier people. So yeah, Tracer's going to be S tier. I just think Tracer's another pub stomp character alongside Widow as well. If you're hitting shots, those characters are going to command the game as DPS. That being said, though, they're very difficult to pop off on, so just keep that in mind. And understand that Tracer, they can be countered the higher you go. Just understand it's difficult, but if you put in the time, you're going to climb to GM those characters. If you're hitting shots on Widow, if you're hitting 4 headshots a fight on Widow, like, you're going to climb. It's pub stomping. If you can do that, do it. And that's why I think she's the best character to climb, because you can't really stop that in plat. They're just going to keep walking into your shots. Winston is hard for me. I think Winston is kind of at the same level as Reinhardt right now. I think he's better on more things. I just think Ball's the better pick in terms of, like, people aren't always going to be playing with you as Winston. Same thing kind of goes with Zarya. I think Zarya's a little bit better. The thing is, I think D.Va does Zarya's job better right now, because Zarya still needs some semblance of a team to really make things happen. While D.Va, like, you can just kind of do it no matter what you have. That being said, if the team is okay with Zarya, I think Zarya is still always really good. Almost, I think I'm going to put her bottom A tier, because she's kind of my, like, carry pick in lower SRs if I'm ever playing there. But D.Va is always my first carry pick until I'm like, wow, like, I really need to just get high charge and kill 6. I'm going to play Zarya. That's not every game, though, and sometimes it's way too difficult to pull that off, where D.Va is just a better option. And then, last but not least, Zenyatta. Zenyatta I'm kind of gonna put with Brig. I'm gonna make a guide. I'm already gonna make a guide this week. I'm gonna script it. I don't know if I'm gonna edit it for Thursday. That's why I wanted to put this video out first, just so I have it for next week. How to climb a Zenyatta. I think a lot of it with Zen is understanding when to switch. So if I were to one-trick a character, it would not be Zen. It would be more of like Ana, it'd be more Baptiste, it'd be more maybe Brig with Baptiste. I think that's the best duo. Like, Ana one-tricks to climb, as much as people hate them in high elos, that is a good character to climb on. And the second support, I would just say like Bap or Brig. Because Brig will be good in situations where Bap is not, and Bap will be good in situations where Brig is not. In most situations that ladder throws at you. Being able to pull out Mercy is also very comfortable and good as a support player. But overall, I mean, I feel pretty good about this tier list. I know I've been yapping for 21 minutes, so let me know what you guys all think. In Overwatch 2, I see this changing in terms of tanks a little bit, in terms of whatever's tank meta. But if I were to be completely honest with you, if you're hitting headshots in Overwatch 2 with Widow, you're going to pop off. If you're doing well with Tracer in Overwatch 2, you're going to pop off. Because that game lends more to those DPS. I think Genji would probably move up in Overwatch 2. Ana's going to stay relatively the same. I mean, honestly, a lot of this is going to still be similar. Obviously, meta is going to change that a little bit the first coming weeks of Overwatch 2, because I feel like everyone's going to be wanting to know, like, hey, what's good, Paz? What's good in Overwatch 2? And which I will make those videos. But overall, I think this will change a little bit into Overwatch 2, like we just mentioned, but not a whole lot. Let me know who you guys have been climbing with in Overwatch 1, if you've even been playing Overwatch 1. If you haven't been playing Overwatch 1, let me know what you have been doing. I've been playing a lot of Core Keeper the week before I went to the beach, but last week I was at the beach. I've been touching grass. I've been just relaxing with my family. So when the semester starts, I'm ready to, 1, give you guys some good Overwatch content, and 2, not burn out from school. So I appreciate you guys all for watching this video and all my other videos on the channel. But until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.